Hey guys, Mike Pytel here. We're going to be doing episode 2 of the Scooter Hack series. The first episode was a little bit more just a for fun video, nothing too practical that you would actually want to do to your scooter. If you haven't seen that video, it's on my channel, go ahead and check it out. But episode 2 is something a lot more practical. It's something that you should actually be doing to your scooter. We're going to be putting pins in a deck. Deck pins are a grip tape alternative, so you don't have to ride grip tape. What makes pins really cool, not only do I prefer the feel of them, the way that they perform on a scooter, but then also they don't have to be replaced, like, ever. So, unless you get a new deck, but then you can still just use those same pins. So, you're going to save a lot of money and a lot of hassle with your deck, because grip tape is around 10 bucks. You got to replace that depending on how much you ride, like every month or 2 months, maybe less if you don't ride as much. But with the pins, you buy the pins once and you're set. The pins are sold right now through Avid Scooters in a deck pinning kit. It comes with enough pins to ride on your scooter, probably a little bit extra actually. A tool, which is actually a keychain. So if you ever wanted to, you could bring that with you on your keys, because I always have my keys on me. And then it also comes with a drill bit slash tap bit. So you do need a drill because the pin, it drills a hole in your deck. But a thing to mention is that these holes are vertical. They won't weaken your deck at all. The way that these holes are going to be, there's no worry about them making your deck weaker or causing your deck to crack or anything like that. No worries. Pins do look a little intimidating. A lot of people are scared to try them, but really they don't hurt. You don't fall on. I mean, I posted a picture of my scooter because I've been riding pins for a while, and some of the things that people always say is, you know, what happens if you fall on it? The thing is, if you're falling on your deck, you're gonna get hurt because it's a big chunk of metal. You're not gonna get hurt with little tiny pins that are on the top of it. A lot of people also think like, oh, isn't that gonna wear my shoe down easier, more so than grip tape? Not really. I mean, everything is gonna wear your shoes down, whether it's grip tape or just normal riding where you scrape your foot on the ground, or it's pins. It doesn't really make a significant wear over any other option, and basically the only other option is grip tape. You know, because the pins, they don't stick out as much as it might look in pictures, and until you feel it and actually ride it, you can't really get a sense of that. So it's just an alternative. It just feels a little bit different, and I definitely like the way that it feels a little bit more. One of the biggest benefits with the way that the pins perform is when you have a lot of pressure with grip tape. If I'm doing a hard slam, I kind of end up slipping out on grip tape, whereas with the pins, the harder my fall, the more I'm coming down, the more I stick. So it's grip when you need it, but when you're actually in the air throwing a trick, the tricks actually go a lot smoother with pins rather than grip tape. And that's the thing, is that it's not for everybody. It's an alternative, but it's not, I'm not sitting here saying everybody should have pins. I mean, yeah, I personally think everybody should have pins, but there's just different options for different riders. I didn't start pins. Pins are an adaptation from the BMX community. It makes a little bit more sense to me because a scooter, although they're getting bigger and have concave, a scooter essentially is an under 5-inch piece of metal. And the way that you are, it's more similar to a pedal than it is a skateboard. A skateboard is about 8 inches and has a very large amount of concave. So the grip tape, because of the curvature of the deck, you have a little bit more feel, and the way that you throw tricks on a skateboard, it goes with that curve more. So grip tape obviously makes a lot more sense for that. But for a scooter, I've always felt that pins make a lot more sense. Also, I think pins look killer. You can put stickers on the top. It's basically a bunch of billboard space on the top of your deck rather than putting a graphic on the bottom. All these new hydro dip decks, all the new graphics for signature riders, they're all putting it on the bottom and you barely ever see it and you scratch it out. So the kit comes with everything that you need minus some of the tools. So you are going to need a drill, a tape measure, and some kind of writing utensil, a pencil, an erasable marker, something basically we're going to be just making some dots on the deck and then later wiping it away after we make our marks. Alright, so pins are going to work in any deck. All you're going to need to do is you're kind of just going to need to trace out and decide how many pins you want on a deck. Usually, depending on the length, you're going to be looking at about 14 to 20 pins. The kit comes with 20. So, and I like to separate mine every 1.5 inches. So you're going to measure from the top and just decide where you want to start it. So with this one, I'm going to start it at 3.5 inches. right here. And so I'm going to make a mark, which I would suggest using a pencil or erasable marker. For the sake of the video, I'm going to be using a Sharpie, which I wouldn't suggest because it doesn't come off too easy. So we're going to make a mark at 3.5 inches. And then we're going to go a 1/2 inch and then another inch, so that's 5. And then 6.5. And then 8. And 17. And then if you really wanted to, you could go even beyond that, 17 to 18.5 if you wanted to. Obviously don't have to. And then you're just gonna follow that through on the other side as well. Okay, so now that you have your marks made on the deck, I apologize that it's so shiny. Then you're just going to figure out how far in you want it. Now you want the pins pretty close to the edge of the deck, so you don't want to go too far in. And also, every deck is different. Every deck is different on how the extrusion is set up. So you want to be careful not to drill on top of an extrusion wall. So usually, ideally, you want to go probably about a 1/2 inch in from the outside of the deck, which isn't going to give you any issue hitting a wall on most decks. So you're just going to go from the outside and then go a 1/2 inch in. Do the same thing on the other side. Okay, so now you've got these little plus marks all over your deck. And now, you're going to open up your Avid deck pinning kit. Take the sticker. You can throw that wherever you want. Take your drill bit. Then you're just going to drill on all of the plus marks. So, you don't want to go all the way down on the drill bit. You want to make sure to make the threads as tight as possible, because you only have about an 1/8 inch of material that we're working with. So once you go through, then you just back the drill out. If you're worried about this process at all, on most drills, there's this drill icon and then all these numbers. If you want to turn that dial back, if you end up going too far into the deck, it'll Okay, so now you have the holes drilled. You're going to go through, do that on both sides of the deck. So one thing to mention, if you really wanted to, you could get like Tap Magic lubricant, and you could put that on the bit after each hole. But because it's aluminum, which is a soft metal, and because we're only drilling into about an 1/8 inch of material, it's not that big a deal to just go through and drill and tap it dry. The other thing is that with your scooter, like I said, I wouldn't suggest using Sharpie. I just used a green Sharpie just to contrast with the chrome, just so that in the video it's a little bit easier to see. But I've always just done a pencil and then just use an eraser to rub it off later. Or you can also use an Expo marker, an erasable marker, anything like that, crayon, literally anything you can write on and then wipe it off is going to work good for you. But because I did use Sharpie, I'm going to go ahead, rub this off, clean it up, And then, if you did choose to use Sharpie like me, a Mr. Clean Magic Eraser will take those marks right off. And then you go ahead and put the pins in. Now, each one of the pins comes with Loctite already pre-installed onto the pins. I'm just gonna twist those into the deck till it's finger tight. Now, on your scooters, you're not gonna have these Sharpie marks. So, and then you're gonna take the tool that comes in your kit. And you're going to tighten up all these bolts. Then we're all set. So you're just going to go through, do that to each and every single one of them on both sides, and then your deck is pinned.